Hi, everybody. My name is Timothy Gager, and welcome to Virtual Friday's Dire Literary Series in the 299th running of the Dire Literary Series in various forms. So, pretty cool. And so today, did we lose Marguerite?
I think so.
Well, she's got to get on again. Today, our feature is Marguerite Bouvard, who is, she got one look at us and disappeared, but it's probably just, one of those things. To kill time, I'll do a little tap dance and a song and dance and cut some things out. But let me actually tell you a little something while I'm killing time. So this is the 299th running of the Dire Literary Series, and it's the last program of the winter season. So next week, the first Friday in April, we're going to do an all open mic for the second anniversary of the virtual show. So we'll do that. We're going to get as many people as we can, and that will be awesome. I need to check my email to see if Marguerite is trying to get back. For you folks watching live on Facebook, this usually doesn't happen this way, just saying. And so this is Marguerite's book, Shades of Meaning. And there's a little bit something about her on the back. If she can't get on Zoom, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to read the poems in her voice. So that's what we'll try to do. And I guess I can go to her website and show what's going on there. So allow me to do that. And this way, in lieu of the introduction. And here she is, Marguerite Guzmán Bouvard. She has a lot of really, really cool credits here. Her genres are poetry, organized labor, politics, government, psychology. She's taught at Regis College in Weston. She is a professor of political science and poetry and department head in the Wellesley Center for Research on Women. She's taught at Brandeis, resident scholar at Women's Studies. In 1991, she was at the University of Maryland at College Park, past writer in residence. She has published many, many books of poetry, and this is her latest. So I just saw that she was able to get on here. So without any further ado, Marguerite, you are muted and your camera is off. Okay, now you're back. Well, welcome back.
And you didn't say I'm a technophobe. Okay,
No.
I'll start reading now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, I killed time nicely. So
You did.
And you already had your introduction. So without anything more, here is Marguerite Bouvard.
You know, I was going to read from my new book, but I'm so upset by what's happening in Ukraine that I will start with a poem on Ukraine, if that's okay. Ukraine. Shells, bombs, falling on hospitals, apartments, schools, like rain. A landscape that is being made by a tsunami of Vladimir Putin's narcissism and insecurity. But on the ground, every man is a soldier, white-haired and fresh-faced, trying to protect the refugee women and children fleeing under broken bridges, while amidst the growing rubble, communities spring up, sharing food, water, supplies, like flowers blooming in the warmth of early spring. And a soldier turns away his face to grieve the loss of his brother with the holy water of tears. Then there is a slow process of cities and towns without heat, food, water, or medicine, while President Zelensky said he prefers to be with people, his people, rather than taking the ride, offered to bring him to safety, talking to them continually to give them strength on a slippery slope. Among the soldiers is a man with a white collar, a Greek Orthodox priest who walks among them day and night, speaking of a chain of amity, how one person helping another is the road we must travel. Speaking of love, how every loss pierces his heart, that they take part of you when they die, and I bring heaven to them. His prayers and the soldiers risking their lives are actions that pierce the darkness. My next poem is about our polarized society. Words. We are so absorbed in our social media and insist on the freedom of expression, even when hate finds its home there, like a runaway tiger, where words are just words, even though they are blood red. And we celebrate phrases that cause havoc, shattering the bridges between us. And the next one is Our Planet. My neighbor across the street, I asked her if she was worried about climate change. She said, "Oh no, we're fine." Our planet. I looked out of the window and the sky was cerulean blue, the white clouds soaring at their own pace, transforming themselves, carrying gentle shadows. The slope was a tender green, flecked with the rusting of autumn, just a page of our planet that is caving in with relentless heat, raging fires, heavy rain, and the anarchy of a new generation. But the endings have their own stories, rivers and blood of anger, while the earth keeps turning the pages of its book with the trees, clouds, the birth of seeds cracking the hardened soil, while we believe in our finite descriptions of time. A more upbeat one. Praise the hand that guides needles and thread, that ushers clay into eloquence. Praise the hand that patiently repairs what is broken, the hand that coaxes music out of scrap. Praise the hand in the hand that moves beyond the brevity of flesh. A couple more messages. Light moves like water, rushing in whirls, flickering messages from the wind, the tallest trees, which is unpredictable, yet always with us. Like the man who crosses the border into Mexico with food and dignity bags for the undocumented immigrants, with the humble gifts of soap and toothbrushes, a love of the marginalized and mistreated, flickering messages which are unpredictable, yet always with us, despite our blindness to the tallest trees and the winds of unseen kindness. The next poem is about a retired priest, and it's called Rev Daniel Allier. A retired Catholic priest presides over a church in Brussels that has no pews, no votive candles, no worshipers, and the statues of saints are draped with posters on social justice. The marble floor is crowded with mattresses and sleeping bags for the undocumented immigrants. For him, the core of Christianity is helping the marginalized, and he has devoted his life to them, who are also his housemates from Morocco, Rwanda, Guinea, and Senegal. He has offended the most conservative bishops that wanted to turn the church into a museum, and the populist politicians creating a singular path which reflects a different view of reality, that we are all one, and that in his words, God is too great to lock him up into one religion. And this one is a true story that touched me very, very much. The Holy Family. The Messiah is supposed to have one meaning, but one can be many when there is an illumination in a dark corner of the world. And Messiah is not age-related, like the 7-year-old Messiah and his older sister, Reign, which does not mean queen, but giving everything she has to love and protect. When he was only 4 years old and was unable to walk because of a rare disease, she played with him, took tender care of him, and never left his side. Nor is Messiah white as the Western world portrays him, but the color of the night sky with the radiant stars of his parents, Taka, who spoke of blessings when Rain gave her bone marrow for a transplant, and Will, who would visit his hospital room and sing to him. At home, Taka sang, "This is the day the Lord made," and they both gave graciously from the little they had, an envelope of money when a friend lost a job, Burger King coupons when another person was laid off, bags of clothes, for giving was their joy. But just when Messiah began to be able to walk, he showed symptoms of the coronavirus and died in his hospital bed. But Messiah and Rain remaining intertwined because they were only a few years on this earth. They understood the meaning of eternity. And my last two poems. One is a strange one, but it's an experience I had, and it's called Soaring. The prayers and meditation that lift you out of a room into an unimagined spaciousness as if you had wings that take you on a journey, is a way into a mystery, a love so powerful it has no words, leaving all that you have learned, the wonder of a passage not written in hymns or beneath the temples and spires that shelter us with their certainty, just the secret fires that kindle our souls. And then my last one, I don't want to read too long. Forms of prayer. A longing that issues from a cello, annihilating time. 2, befriending a stranger, speaking with an enemy. 3, bearing the weight of our endurance with quiet grace. 4, planting olive trees in the chambers of the heart, tilling fields for the next generation. Thank you, and I'm up to any questions.
All right, thank you very much. So people can put their questions in on the chat, which will be the easy way to moderate this. So this is your new book, and I noticed it is on Paul Richmond's press, correct?
It's Human Errors Press, which published my last 2 books too.
Yeah, and he's out in Western Massachusetts, and he does various. Have you ever read at his festival out there?
No, I haven't.
So I know that I know you. We've spoken before. We've had tea together. So your poetry is very on the right side of social consciousness, but you run into your neighbor, and your neighbor says, everything is fine. So what's wrong with people?
They just think about themselves, what they need. My son needs this, and I'm going there. It's just they don't think beyond themselves, and it worries me very much. I'm writing a nonfiction book about climate change and what young people are doing for it, and people are just unaware. All I can say is that I've been a professor for years and years and years, and I've watched every year they're reading less, they're doing less, and my niece teaches doctorates, and she said they're not that much interested. And I think, I shouldn't say this, but I think there's social media, and people can go on that, they can connect with each other, and you don't get together as human beings and talk to each other and ask what's wrong, can I help you? Do you have a problem? How are you doing? And that worries me.
Caitlin McCarthy is asking you, do you anticipate writing a series of poems about Ukraine and the possibility of a World War III?
Well, yes, I keep writing poems about Ukraine because I'm really upset. I don't know if you realize, but on Fox News, Tucker Carlson was praising, I can't believe it, he was praising Putin. So what I try to do is open windows in people's minds about what's happening around us, quietly.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's praising Putin or praising the almighty dollar, which the advertisers catch. You never know if they really believe those things or if they're told to say those things.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Trump said he's a genius. And, 40% of Americans think the elections were wrong.
Unbelievable. And those are the same 40% that voted for him. Imagine that.
I know. It's worrisome. It's worrisome.
I've got a question from Jeff. How does your faith inform your opinions in your writing? It seems like you grapple with faith and its place in our modern world.
Well, I'm a lapsed Catholic, it takes a tank to get me into a church, but I'm a very spiritual person, and I'm very upset by what we're doing to our Muslim friends, because the FBI is spying on them. I'm very upset by anti-Semitism, a religion we should honor. And I think for me, the best thing is to use my faith. I say my prayers at home, and I honor all religions, because I don't want this inner fighting, because, God is not white. He's not this religion. He's not that religion. The creator is everyone. And we have to think of each other as brothers and sisters, not as enemies.
And speaking about power and the power of everything, how do we get and promote the power of the word, not just the words as art forms, but the words as real meaning, source of education?
Well, when I taught, I used to make my students read books from
Oh my
Africa.
God, you did? It's horrible.
I made them read novels from Africa. I made them read novels from other religions. I took them places, I opened them up to diversity. I don't know if I could do that now. That's, but, and there are good people around that care. It's just that they don't reach the headlines.
This, in your latest book of poetry, you have a poem written for Georgia O'Keeffe and also Vincent van Gogh. So my question, and also various cultures and travel. Do you have to travel these days to write on those subjects?
Not really. What I do is I'm an avid book reader, and I read my way around the world. One of my favorite authors is Elif Shafak, and she's from Turkey. And so I'm going to Turkey through my book. Okay. I read authors from around the world. I read Ha Jin from China. I read, everywhere. And that's a way of traveling. And I have friends from around the world. I have a Pakistani friend, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's another way of traveling.
And if you are traveling, are you ever just stricken by a poem?
Yes. Yes. My husband is French. I'm Northern Italian. We haven't been able to travel because of the coronavirus. But yes, especially I feel like I've reached my roots when I'm in Northern Italy, which is on the Adriatic Sea. I feel like a plant that's reached its roots, and I love. We're right near Slovenia, so I love walking from one country into another country.
There is a credit. Jacques has designed your book. Is he an artist as well? A writer?
He's an electrical engineer, a computer software, and he's a phenomenal photographer. He does beautiful photographs.
So do you guys combine both sides of the brain at that point, or?
In a way, we're very different because he's a scientist and I can't count. I'm bad at math. So, but we come together on those. I even make quilts with his photos printed on silk and print and poems next to them. So, yeah.
So who would do better, you as a scientist or him as a poet?
Well, we both fail. We both get an F-.
In terms of social consciousness and women's rights and where women stand in society, are we heading in the right direction there, or are we treading water?
Well, I thought we were heading in the right direction, but then there's all of this. You cannot get an abortion, and in Kansas, If you catch someone that got an abortion, you're free to go after and sue them. This is a very private matter. What about a teenager that was raped? Does she have to have that child? It's her private business. So I see both. I see women in places that were never in those places. I think of this, and I think of this, I can't remember her name, this wonderful Black woman that's heading for the Supreme Court, and they're trying to do anything they can to prevent her from getting a membership. So on the one hand, good for her. She was a federal judge. She's moved very high. And on the other hand, part of us have become very, very prejudiced and racist. And so both things are happening together. So good and bad are intertwined. And so we live with both of them. It's never wonderful, very, very good, and never very, very bad. I hope not in this country. But I see women moving ahead nevertheless.
In a society that sort of reinforces not playing by the rules, why do we as writers have to play by the rules?
Well, I don't know what the rules are for writing.
Rules of publishing, rules of getting things out there. I mean, that's changing also. How do you feel about that phenomena in terms of boutique publishers and self-publishers and sort of the slowing down of traditional publishing? Do you think that's a good trend?
No, because that means anyone that doesn't work too hard or doesn't have any talent can just put their stuff out there. And that's important. And also, there are fewer and fewer books read. And I see people, when I'm waiting for a doctor's appointment, usually I've been reading and I see people playing chess on their cell phones, people looking at their cell phones, glued to their cell phones. And whenever I see someone reading the book, I get really excited. But people still write. And there's some wonderful poets out there and some wonderful, I think of Elif Shafak in Turkey, and what she writes about is wonderful. She writes about how the Armenians were mistreated by the Turks, and the books she writes are how they get together. And I hear sometimes people read books on their phone. That's great. That's great. But books are important. When my children were young, by the time they were tiny, I gave them books to read. And you should see my study. I have a whole wall full of books, and there's some in the attic, and they're in the bedroom and everywhere. And for me, they're very important.
Have you ever written a poem or any piece of writing yourself on a phone? Or could you, if you haven't?
No, it's been a big step for me. Usually I think of something at night and I scribble something on a piece of paper in the bedroom. And then the night I was worried about Ukraine, I ran down to my computer and worked there at 1 a.m. But no.
But I mean, I'm going to play the devil's advocate. Didn't people say years ago that, foregoing the typewriter for a computer, that could have been a bad thing as well, correct?
Right. I'm a little behind because I probably could write on my cell phone and I don't know how to do it. So yeah, I'm behind. Any way you write, any way you get it out is fine.
Has your own personal writing morphed or changed because of modern society in any way?
Oh, it has completely. Right now, I'm writing about, there's been such changes. I don't know that people realize that young people are doing phenomenal things for the environment, very young people. And so I've started a book on young entrepreneurs in the environment. And I started with a chapter on a young man in Sierra Leone, Africa, Elijah Ba, who was homeless and worried about, there was a big torrent, a mudslide because of the lack of trees. And so he started a company with $20, and now he has 50 people working for him. And he's doing a phenomenal job. And this young man, he's been invited to Harvard, to California. So there are good things happening. And I've written about a young woman who's working on food waste. I don't know if people know that it creates methane and plastic. So she's doing things like that, and people don't know about it, but it's happening. There's a young generation that's doing phenomenal things. So for me, that's a source of hope. And I can't stay in one place. So it's psychology, it's politics, it's this, it's that. It's always something different.
So where do you feel where do you feel is the best place? Like if you could choose any progressive place in the world and not necessarily have a care about packing up everything and going, where would you choose to be?
I'm trying to think of a progressive place.
Like you have to move out of your house, but you have the freedom to move any place in the world and stay there the rest of your life because it's just a wonderful place and a wonderful society. Where would you go?
Well, I'd go to Hawaii before we took the land away from the Hawaiians. Or I would like to go in, I have a high regard for Native Americans. I would be happy to live on a Navajo, or as they call themselves, Dene reservation, because they care for each other. They take care of the land. And I remember I was invited to give a talk in a Cherokee reservation. And I was picked up at the airport by a blonde woman, and I said, "What are you doing here?" And she said, "I'm 1/16 Cherokee. If something happened to me, they would take care of my children." And that's what changed my life. And I made a Cherokee friend. So that changed my life.
That's a great story. So we're going to wrap up. Here is Marguerite's book. And is this out now officially?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's on Amazon. Yeah, it's out.
And where is, it's so funny. Like, we used to worry that Barnes and Noble was taking over the smaller bookstores. And now we feel bad when Barnes and Noble's closed because of Amazon. So what private or small bookstore could you order your book from as well?
Well, I used to have my books at the local bookstore in Wellesley, but they don't like poetry books anymore. But you could order it from a small bookstore.
Okay. So that'd be the Wellesley Booksmith. There's the Brookline Booksmith. There's Porter Square Books. There's Newtonville Books. People want suggestions. Support them all. And Marguerite, thank you so much for your appearance, your wonderful poetry, and your thoughts of social issues.
Thank you so much, Tim, for inviting me, and everyone who came to listen.